Jai Guruji. Anantam Shukrana Guru Maharaj for this beautiful, blissful satsang. It's so heartening to see so many of the Sangat people sitting here for the Shivpuran. With Guruji's divine grace, we're reading the Holy Shivpuran at Guruji Ka Ashram, Somerset every Monday after the mantra jap in English and Hindi. So if you're interested in participating in the reading, kindly contact Seema Auntie, Rashmi Auntie or me. Last week we read chapter 38 of Rudra Samhita part 2. In this we read that Narada asked Brahma that why did Vishnu go to Daksha's sacrifice with other devas, because he was close to Lord Shiva and he went to Daksha's sacrifice without Lord Shiva, and why did he fight with the Ganas of Lord Shiva? To this Brahma told Narada that Lord Vishnu had actually forgotten about this thing because he lost his knowledge due to curse of the Dicha. Now Narad again asked Brahma that why did the Dicha curse Vishnu? So there was a very interesting story to that. Brahma said that when there was a very great king known as Shiva, and he was friends with an excellent sage. His name was Dadicha. But once they got into an argument with each other, and there was a great fight over who was superior. So Dadicha was a Brahmin, and he said that Brahmin is the most superior and noble of all the Varnas. And Shiva, who was deluded by wealth and by power, he said that the king is the most supreme and noble, and he should be worshipped. So Dadicha did not like it. He was angry, so he hit Shiva on his head with the left fist. When he did that, Shiva also retaliated and hit Dadicha with a thunderbolt. So as Dadicha was falling, he remembered his ancestor Shukra, and Shukra appeared there to help Dadicha. He put Dadicha's body parts back together. He rejoined his broken limbs and organs, and once Dadicha was back into his senses, Shukra told him about the Mahamrityunjay mantra. He told Dadicha that he should meditate on Lord Shiva, who is the Lord of all lords, and he should meditate on the Mahamrityunjay mantra. And this is what Dadicha did. He went to a forest. He meditated on Lord Shiva, and he repeated the Mahamrityunjay mantra, and as per the prescribed rules. And this, of course, by this Lord Shiva was delighted, and he appeared in front of the Dadicha and he asked him what he wanted. So the Dadicha asked for 3 boons. He wanted adamantine bones, he wanted absence of distress, and indestructibility. Shiva was delighted with his devotee, and he granted all 3 boons to him. As soon as he got the 3 boons, he went to Shiva's abode and hit him on the head. Shiva also retaliated with a thunderbolt on the chest of the Dadicha, but this time the Dadicha did not suffer any loss. So eventually Shiva found out that it was due to Shiva's boon that he was not able to defeat the Dadicha. So he went to the forest and he propitiated Lord Vishnu, told him that whatever had happened with him and what the Dadicha had done. So Lord Vishnu also tried to explain it to Shiva, but did not understand. Lord Vishnu told him that any devotee of Shiva should not fear anything at all, and if Vishnu helps Shiva, Vishnu along with other devas will also be cursed by the Dadicha, and that Vishnu will be destroyed in a battle with the leader of Shiva's army, and of course he will rise again, but just because Vishnu is subservient to his devotees, he promised that he will help Shiva by going there, but he also told Shiva that he will be cursed by the Dadicha. Shiva, of course, agreed to all this, and we will read further what happened. So today we'll be reading chapter 39, which is the description of fight between Vishnu and the Dadicha, and chapter 40, which is the journey to Kailasha and vision of Shiva. Chaitali Auntie will be reading in Hindi and Urvashi Auntie will be reading in English. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Shukrana. Chapter 39. Description of the fight between Vishnu and Dadicha. Brahma said, In order to do something beneficent to Shiva, the Lord Vishnu, who is favorably disposed to his devotees, assumed the form of a Brahmin and went to the hermitage of the Dija. The preceptor of the universe, Vishnu, resorting to deception for the realization of Shiva's purpose, bowed to the Brahmanical sage Dadija, the leader of devotees of Shiva, and spoke these words. Vishnu said, O Dadija, O Brahmanical sage, engrossed in the worship of Shiva, O unchanging one, I am soliciting a boon from you which you will please grant. Brahma said, Dadija, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, thus requested by the Lord of Devas on behalf of Shiva, immediately replied thus. Dadija said, O Brahmin, your purpose has been understood by me. You have come here on behalf of Shiva. You are the Lord Vishnu in the form of a Brahmin due to your illusion. O Lord of Devas, O Vishnu, thanks to the grace of Shiva, the past, future and present, everything in the 3 periods of time is known to me. I know you to be Vishnu, O observer of good rites. Leave off your disguise of Brahminhood. You have been propitiated by King Shiva of wicked intellect. O Lord Vishnu, I know your favoritism towards your devotees. Cast off this deception. Assume your own real form. Remember Shiva. If anyone is afraid of me in view of my being engrossed in the worship of Shiva, you will please tell me, bearing in mind the true state of things. With my mind drawn to the memory of Shiva, I never tell a lie. I am not afraid of devas or demons in the whole universe. Vishnu said, O Dadija of good rites, all sorts of fear are at an end for you. Since you are actively engaged in the worship of Shiva, you are omniscient. You will please say for once that you are afraid. Obeisance to you. At my behest, please bear with Shiva, the leader of kings. Brahma said, even after hearing this request of Vishnu, the great sage Dadija, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, laughed and said fearlessly. Dadija said, I am not at all afraid of anything, anywhere, at any time, thanks to the power of the Pinaka-wielding Shiva, the Lord of Devas. Brahma said, then on hearing the words of the sage, Vishnu became angry. He lifted his discus and stood as if he would burn the excellent sage. When hurled upon the Brahmin, the terrible discus became blunted in the presence of the king, thanks to the power of Shiva. On seeing the discus blunted at the edges, Dadija smilingly spoke to Vishnu, the cause of discrimination between the existent and the non-existent. Dadija said, O Lord Vishnu, formerly the famous terrible discus Sudarshana was secured by you with great effort. That is the auspicious discus of Shiva. It does not kill me here. O Lord Vishnu, furious at me, you can endeavor to hurl all the weapons such as Brahmastra at me one by one. Brahma said, Vishnu, on hearing his words, thought that he was only a man devoid of virility and hence hurled at him all the weapons. Thereupon the Devas of crooked intellect rendered help to Vishnu, who was engaged in fighting with a single Brahmin. Indra and others, partisans of Vishnu, hurled with force their own different weapons from all round on the Dija. Taking a fistful of kusha grass and remembering Shiva, the Dija of adamantine bones and self-control discharged it against all the gods. O sage, thanks to the power of Shiva, the fistful kusha grass of the sage became the divine trident equal in potentiality to the fire of the god of death. That trident of Shaiva nature, blazing around with lustre exceeding the fire at the close of the yugas, wanted to burn the armed gods. All the weapons hurled by the devas, of whom Narayan and Indra were the most important, bowed down in reverence to that trident. Bereft of their virility, the heaven-dwelling devas fled. Vishnu alone, the foremost of those who make use of Maya, remained there, but he was afraid. Vishnu, the Lord, created out of his body millions of divine beings like himself. O celestial sage, those Vishnu Ganas of heroic power fought with a single sage Dadija identical with Shiva. Then withstanding the entire host of Vishnu Ganas, Dadija, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, burned them all in the battle. Then, in order to confound the sage Dadija, Vishnu, clever in the use of illusion, became multi-formed. In that body of Vishnu, the most excellent Brahmin, Dadija, saw thousands of devas and living beings. There were crores of bhutas, crores of ganas, and crores of universes in the body of multi-formed Vishnu then. On seeing all things spread there, Dadija, the son of Shavana, spoke to Vishnu, the all-pervading, unborn Lord of the universe, eulogized by the whole universe. Dadija said, O long-armed one, cast off this illusion. On consideration, this is only a sham appearance. O Vishnu, thousands of inscrutable things are known to me also. I shall give you a divine vision. You will see in me the entire universe, including you, Brahma and Rudra. You shall then be alert. Brahma said, after saying so, the saintly son of Shavana, of body fully infused with the brilliance of Shiva, showed the entire universe in his body. Remembering Shiva in his mind and laughing fearlessly, the intelligent Dadija, the most excellent of the devotees of Shiva, spoke to Vishnu, the Lord of Devas, thus. Dadija said, O Vishnu, of what avail is the illusion of yours, or the power of mantra? You shall give up this illusion and fight in a straight manner. Brahma said, on hearing the words of the sage, the fearless Vishnu became angry with the sage who had been infused with the brilliance of Shiva. The gods also rushed to the aid of Lord Vishnu, who was desirous of fighting with the sage Dadija of great valor. In the meantime, Shiva of noble contact came there. He prevented the motionless Brahma, Vishnu, and the gods from fighting. Even after hearing my words, the defeated Vishnu did not go near the sage, nor bowed to him. Shiva, who became agitated and distressed, went near Dadija, the great sage, bowed to him and requested thus. Shiva said, O leader of sages, foremost of the devotees of Shiva, be pleased. Be pleased with Lakshmi's consort, who is difficult to be perceived by the wicked people. Brahma said, on hearing the words of the king on behalf of the Devas, the Brahmin Dadija, the storehouse of penance, blessed him. Then on seeing the Lord of Lakshmi, Vishnu and others, the sage was angry. Remembering Shiva, he cursed Vishnu and the Devas. Dadija said, let the gods with Indra, the sages and the Lord Vishnu be burnt in the fire of the anger of Rudra. Brahma said, after cursing them, he looked at Shiva and said, O leader of kings, a Brahmin is worthy of being respected by Devas, kings, and the best of other castes. O leader of kings, only Brahmins are powerful and influential. After saying thus clearly, the Brahmin entered his hermitage. After venerating Dadija, Shiva returned to his abode. Vishnu also returned to his region and the Devas to their respective places. That place became a sanctified holy center named Sthaneshwara. Persons making pilgrimage to Sthaneshwara will attain the Sayugya salvation with Shiva. Thus, I have briefly narrated the dispute between Shiva and Dadija and also the story of Brahma and Vishnu who were cursed for being without the support of Shiva. Whoever recites this portion containing the discord between Shiva and Dadija can conquer premature death. After that, he attains Brahma's region. If a person recites this section and enters the battle, he need not be afraid of death at all. He will come out victorious. Chapter 40. Journey to Kailasha and the vision of Shiva. Narada said, O Brahma of great intellect, who are the guide for Shiva cult? You have narrated to me the wonderfully beautiful story of Shiva's sport. After destroying the sacrifice of Daksha, when the heroic Veerbhadra went to Kailasha, what happened there? Oh dear, please tell me now. Brahma said, defeated and mutilated by Shiva's armies, the gods and the sages came to my region. After making obeisance to me, who am self-born, and eulogizing me in various ways, they explained their distress entirely. On hearing that, I was extremely pained for my son Daksha. In that mental anguish, I thought, what step shall I take to please the Devas, whereby Daksha can be whereby Daksha can be restored to life and whereby the sacrifice also be completed. O sage, even after thinking a lot, I did not attain any peace of mind. Remembering Lord Vishnu with devotion, I knew what I shall do. Then I went to the world of Vishnu along with the gods and the sages. After bowing to and eulogizing him with various hymns, I informed him of my misery. Please make arrangements so that the sacrifice shall be completed. The gods and the sages be happy. As you know, he was performing a sacrifice. O Lord of Lakshmi, Lord of gods, bestower of happiness to the gods, we, including the devas and the sages, have sought refuge in you. Brahma said, on hearing my words, the Lord of Lakshmi with his soul set on Shiva and mind free from distress replied after duly remembering Shiva. Vishnu said, an aggression against a powerful person neither befits a weak aggressor nor leads to his welfare. Thus, O Brahman, the gods have committed sin and offended Shiva, since they had partaken of his share in the sacrifice. You shall propitiate Shiva by falling at his feet with pure mind, at the bidding of the protector of the world, whose fury annihilates everything. The resuscitation is certain and immediate. That Lord has been wounded in the heart by the wicked Daksha by harsh words. Crave the forgiveness of that Lord who has lost his beloved now. O Brahman, that is the only remedy for tranquilizing him, I think, and also for pleasing him. I have mentioned that truth. Neither I, nor you, nor the gods, nor the sages, nor any embodied being knows the reality and the extent of his strength and power. Who else can lay down a remedy for Shiva, who is independent and the greatest self, a remedy that quells delusion? I too have offended Shiva. I shall also come, O Brahma, to Shiva's abode along with you all and crave the forgiveness of Shiva. Brahma said, after commanding thus me, Brahma, and the gods Vishnu desired to go to his mountain along with the Devas. Accompanied by the gods, sages, Brahma, and others, Vishnu went to Kailasha, the auspicious, excellent, mountainous abode of Shiva. It was a favorite abode of the Lord, where Kinnaras, Apsaras, Siddhas, and other divine beings stayed. It was very high. It was brilliant, with many peaks full of precious gems all around. It was of variegated color due to diverse minerals. It contained different trees and creepers. Many kinds of deer roamed and many kinds of birds hovered there. The celestial and Siddha damsels sported about in different springs and pools along with their husbands and lovers. It contained many caves and ridges. It shone with various kinds of trees and had a silver luster. It was infested with big animals, tigers, and others who were free from cruelty. It was of divine nature, endowed with shining brilliance. It inspired great surprise and wonder. The river Ganga, originating from the holy abode of Sati, sanctifying everything, flowed there, and so the place was very clean. On seeing this mountain named Kailasha, a great favorite of Shiva, Vishnu and other devas were surprised, along with the excellent sages. Near it, the gods saw Alka, the beautiful and divine city of Kubera, a friend of Rudra. Near that, they saw the sylvan park Sugandhika, which contained all kinds of trees. The sound originating from it was surprisingly divine. Outskirting it are the two holy rivers, Nanda and Alaknanda, that quell sins by their mere sight. The celestial damsels descending to them from their world drank their waters. Emaciated for their sexual dalliance with the menfolk, they entered them for their sports. After going beyond Alka, the capital of the king of Yakshas, and the Sugandhika park, they saw the fig tree of Shiva. The fig tree had steady shade all around. It had a number of suspended branches without hanging roots. Its height was 100 yojanas. It had no nests on it. It afforded protection from heat. It was the place where Shiva practiced yoga. It was divine. It was resorted by other yogins. It was great and excellent. It could be seen only by the excessively meritorious persons. It was beautiful and sacred. Beneath that vata of yogic potentialities, Vishnu and other devas saw Shiva seated. The vata was the refuge of those seeking salvation. was being served and venerated by Brahma's sons, the great Siddhas engrossed in devotion of Shiva joyously. They were calm. There were very physical body-inspired calmness. He was being attended upon by his friend Kubera, the lord of Goyakas and Rakshas, and particularly by his attendants and kinsmen. Lord Shiva had the divine form liked by the sages. His fond love befriended everyone. He shone with the ashes smeared over his body. O sage Narad, you were present there, and while you were asking him questions, he was explaining wise and excellent things to you, whereas the other saintly men were listening. He was seated on a seat made of kusha grass. He had put his left leg over his right thigh and knee. The Rudraksha garland was suspended from his wrist. He was showing the Tarak Mudra with his hand. On seeing Shiva like this, Vishnu and other devas humbly bowed to him immediately after joining their palms. Lord Shiva, the refuge of saintly men, stood up, and approaching Vishnu, who had gone there along with me, he performed obeisance with his head. Vishnu and the devas made obeisance at his feet, as Vishnu, the goal of the world, would bow to Kashyap. Vishnu and the devas performed obeisance and spoke to Shiva, who was revered by the lords of devas, Siddhas, Ganas, and the sages. This concludes the chapter. Thank you. Now Chaitali Aunty will be reading in Hindi. Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Anantam Shukrana. Guruji, for this opportunity of reading in front of Guruji and all the Sangat. Chapter 39. श्री विष्णु और देवताओं से पराजित दधीची का उनके लिए शाप और शुभ पर अनुग्रह। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, नारद, भक्तवत्सल भगवान विष्णु राजा शुभ का हित साधन करने के लिए ब्राह्मण का रूप धारण कर दधीची के आश्रम पर गए। वहां उन जगतगुरु श्री हरि ने शिव भक्त शिरोमणि ब्रह्मर्षि दधीची को प्रणाम करके शुभ के कार्य की सिद्धि के लिए उद्धत हो उनसे ये बात कही। श्री विष्णु बोले, भगवान शिव की आराधना में तत्पर रहने वाले अविनाशी ब्रह्मर्षि दधीची, मैं तुमसे एक वर मांगता हूँ, उसे तुम मुझे दे दो। शुभ के कार्य की सिद्धि चाहने वाले देवादि देव श्री हरि के इस प्रकार याचना करने पर शैव शिरोमणि दधीची ने शीघ्र ही भगवान विष्णु से इस प्रकार कहा। दधीची बोले, ब्राह्मण, आप क्या चाहते हैं? ये मुझे ज्ञात हो गया। आप शुभ का काम बनाने के लिए साक्षात भगवान श्री हरि ही ब्राह्मण का रूप धारण करके यहाँ आए हैं। इसमें संदेह नहीं कि आप पूरे मायावी हैं, किंतु देवेश जनार्दन, मुझे भगवान रुद्र की कृपा से भूत, भविष्य और वर्तमान तीनों कालों का ज्ञान सदा ही बना रहता है। सुव्रत, मैं आपको जानता हूँ। आप पापहारी श्री हरि एवं विष्णु हैं। ये ब्राह्मण का वेश छोड़िए। दुष्ट बुद्धि वाले राजा शिव ने आपकी आराधना की है, इसलिए आप पधारे हैं। भगवान हरे, आपकी भक्तवत्सलता को भी मैं जानता हूँ। ये छल छोड़िए, अपने रूप को ग्रहण कीजिए और भगवान शंकर के स्मरण में मन लगाइए। मैं भगवान शंकर की आराधना में लगा रहता हूँ। ऐसी दशा में भी यदि मुझसे किसी को भय हो तो आप उसे यत्नपूर्वक सत्य की शपथ के साथ कहिए। मेरा मन शिव के स्मरण में ही लगा रहता है। मैं कभी झूठ नहीं बोलता। इस संसार में किसी देवता या दैत्य से भी मुझे भय नहीं होता। श्री विष्णु बोले, उत्तम व्रत का पालन करने वाले दधीची, तुम्हारा भय सर्वथा नष्ट ही है, क्योंकि तुम शिव की आराधना में तत्पर रहते हो, इसीलिए सर्वज्ञ हो। परंतु मेरे कहने से तुम एक बार अपने प्रतिद्वंदी राजा शिव से जाकर कह दो कि राजेंद्र, मैं तुमसे डरता हूँ। भगवान विष्णु का यह वचन सुनकर भी शैव शिरोमणि महामुनि दधीची निर्भय ही रहे और हंसकर बोले। दधीची ने कहा, मैं देवादिदेव पिनाक पाणी भगवान शंभु के प्रसाद से कहीं कभी किसी से और किंचन मात्र भी नहीं डरता, सदा ही निर्भय रहता हूँ। इस पर श्री हरि ने मुनि को दबाने की चेष्टा की। देवताओं ने भी उनका साथ दिया, किंतु सबके सभी अस्त्र कुंठित हो गए। तदनंतर भगवान श्री विष्णु ने अगणित गणों की सृष्टि की, परंतु महर्षि ने उनको भी भस्म कर दिया। तब भगवान ने अपनी अनंत विष्णु मूर्ति प्रकट की। यह सब देखकर श्यावन कुमार ने वहां जगदीश्वर भगवान विष्णु से कहा। दधीची बोले, महाबाहो, माया को त्याग दीजिए। विचार करने से ये प्रतिभास मात्र प्रतीत होती है। माधव, मैंने सहस्रों दुर्विज्ञ वस्तुओं को जान लिया है। आप मुझ में अपने सहित संपूर्ण जगत को देखिए। निरालस्य होकर मुझ में ब्रह्मा एवं रुद्र की दर्शन कीजिए। मैं आपको दिव्य दृष्टि देता हूँ। ऐसा कहकर भगवान शिव के तेज से पूर्ण शरीर वाले च्यवन कुमार दधीची मुनि ने अपनी देह में समस्त ब्रह्मांड का दर्शन कराया। तब भगवान विष्णु ने उन पर पुनः कोप करना चाहा। इतने में ही मेरे साथ राजा शिव वहां आ पहुंचे। मैंने निश्चेष्ट खड़े हुए भगवान पद्मनाभ को तथा देवताओं को क्रोध करने से रोका। मेरी बात सुनकर इन लोगों ने ब्राह्मण दधीची को परास्त नहीं किया। श्री हरि उनके पास गए और उन्होंने मुनि को प्रणाम किया। तदनंतर शिव अत्यंत दीन हो उन मुनीश्वर दधीची के निकट गए और उन्हें प्रणाम करके प्रार्थना करने लगे। शिव बोले, मुनि श्रेष्ठ, शिव भक्त शिरोमणि, मुझ पर प्रसन्न होइए। परमेश्वर, आप दुर्जनों की दृष्टि से दूर रहने वाले हैं, मुझ पर कृपा कीजिए। ब्रह्मा जी कहते हैं, नारद, राजा शिव की यह बात सुनकर तपस्या की निधि ब्राह्मण दधीची ने उन पर अनुग्रह किया। तत्पश्चात श्री विष्णु आदि को देखकर वे मुनि क्रोध से व्याकुल हो गए और मन ही मन शिव का स्मरण करके विष्णु तथा देवताओं को शाप देने लगे। दधीची ने कहा, देवराज इंद्र सहित देवताओं और मुनीश्वरों, तुम लोग रुद्र की क्रोधाग्नि से श्री विष्णु तथा अपने गणों सहित पराजित और ध्वस्त हो जाओ। देवताओं को इस तरह शाप दे शिव की ओर देखकर देवताओं और राजाओं के पूजनीय द्विज श्रेष्ठ दधीची ने कहा, राजेंद्र, ब्राह्मण ही बली और प्रभावशाली होते हैं। ऐसा स्पष्ट रूप से कहकर ब्राह्मण दधीची अपने आश्रम में प्रविष्ट हो गए। फिर दधीची को नमस्कार मात्र करके शिव अपने घर चले गए। तत्पश्चात भगवान विष्णु देवताओं के साथ जैसे आए थे उसी तरह अपने वैकुंठ लोक को लौट गए। इस प्रकार वो स्थानेश्वर नामक तीर्थ के रूप में प्रसिद्ध हो गया। स्थानेश्वर की यात्रा करके मनुष्य शिव का सायुज्य प्राप्त कर लेता है। तात, मैंने तुम्हें संक्षेप से शिव और दधीची के विवाद की कथा सुनाई और भगवान शंकर को छोड़कर केवल ब्रह्मा और विष्णु को ही जो शाप प्राप्त हुआ उसका भी वर्णन किया। जो शिव और दधीची के विवाद संबंधी इस प्रसंग का नित्य पाठ करता है वो अपमृत्यु को जीतकर देह त्याग के पश्चात ब्रह्मलोक में जाता है। जो इसका पाठ करके रणभूमि में प्रवेश करता है उसे कभी मृत्यु का भय नहीं होता तथा वो निश्चय ही विजयी होता है। नेक्स्ट चैप्टर 40। देवताओं सहित ब्रह्मा का विष्णु लोक में जाकर अपना दुख निवेदन करना। श्री विष्णु का उन्हें शिव से क्षमा मांगने की अनुमति दे उनको साथ ले कैलाश पर जाना तथा भगवान शिव से मिलना। नारद जी ने कहा, विधात, महाप्राज्ञ, आप शिव तत्व का साक्षात्कार कराने वाले हैं। आपने यह बड़ी अद्भुत एवं रमणीय शिव लीला सुनाई है। तात, वीरभद्र जब दक्ष के यज्ञ का विनाश करके कैलाश पर्वत पर चले गए तब क्या हुआ, ये हमें बताइए। ब्रह्मा जी बोले, नारद, रुद्रदेव के सैनिकों ने जिनके अंग भंग कर दिए थे वे समस्त पराजित देवता और मुनि उस समय मेरे लोक में आए। वहां मुझ स्वयंभू को नमस्कार करके सबने बारंबार मेरा स्तवन किया। फिर अपने विशेष क्लेश को पूर्ण रूप से सुनाया। उसे सुनकर मैं पुत्र शोक से पीड़ित हो गया और अत्यंत व्यथित चित्त से बड़ी चिंता करने लगा। फिर मैंने भक्ति भाव से भगवान विष्णु का स्मरण किया। इससे मुझे समयोचित ज्ञान प्राप्त हुआ। तदनंतर देवताओं और मुनियों के साथ मैं विष्णु लोक में गया और वहां भगवान विष्णु को नमस्कार एवं नाना प्रकार के स्तोत्र द्वारा उनकी स्तुति करके उनसे अपना दुख निवेदन किया। मैंने कहा, देव, जिस तरह भी यज्ञ पूर्ण हो, यजमान जीवित हो और समस्त देवता तथा मुनि सुखी हो जाए, वैसा उपाय कीजिए। देव रमानाथ, देव सुखदायक विष्णु, हम देवता और मुनि निश्चय ही आपकी शरण में आए हैं। मुझ ब्रह्मा की यह बात सुनकर भगवान लक्ष्मीपति विष्णु, जिनका मन सदा शिव में लगा रहता है और जिनके हृदय में कभी दीनता नहीं आती, शिव का स्मरण करके इस प्रकार बोले। श्री विष्णु ने कहा, देवताओं, परम समर्थ तेजस्वी पुरुष से कोई अपराध बन जाए तो भी उसके बदले में अपराध करने वाले मनुष्य के लिए वो अपराध मंगलकारी नहीं हो सकता। विधात, समस्त देवता परमेश्वर शिव के अपराधी है, क्योंकि उन्होंने भगवान शंभु को यज्ञ का भाग नहीं दिया। अब तुम सब लोग शुद्ध हृदय से शीघ्र ही प्रसन्न होने वाले उन भगवान शिव के पैर पकड़कर उन्हें प्रसन्न करो, उनसे क्षमा मांगो। जिन भगवान की कुपित होने पर ये सारा जगत नष्ट हो जाता है तथा जिनके शासन से लोकपालों सहित यज्ञ का जीवन शीघ्र ही समाप्त हो जाता है, वे भगवान महादेव इस समय अपनी प्राण वल्लभा सती से बिछुड़ गए हैं तथा अत्यंत दुरात्मा दक्ष ने अपने दुर्वचन रूपी बाणों से उनके हृदय को पहले से ही घायल कर दिया है। अतः तुम लोग शीघ्र ही जाकर उनसे अपने अपराधों के लिए क्षमा मांगो। विधे, उन्हें शांत करने का केवल यही सबसे बड़ा उपाय है। मैं समझता हूँ ऐसा करने से भगवान शंकर को संतोष होगा। ये मैंने सच्ची बात कही है। ब्राह्मण, मैं भी तुम सब लोगों के साथ शिव के निवास स्थान पर चलूंगा और उनसे क्षमा मांगूंगा। देवता आदि सहित मुझ ब्रह्मा को इस प्रकार आदेश देकर श्री हरि ने देवगणों के साथ कैलाश पर्वत पर जाने का विचार किया। तदनंतर देवता, मुनि और प्रजापति आदि जिनके स्वरूप ही है, वे श्री हरि उन सब के साथ ले अपने वैकुंठ धाम से भगवान शिव के शुभ निवास गिरिश्रेष्ठ कैलाश को गए। कैलाश भगवान शिव को सदा ही अत्यंत प्रिय है। मनुष्यों से भिन्न किन्नर, अप्सराएं और योग सिद्ध महात्मा पुरुष उसका भली भांति सेवन करते हैं तथा वो पर्वत बहुत ही ऊंचा है। उसके निकट रुद्रदेव के मित्र कुबेर की अलका नामक महादिव्य एवं रमणीय पुरी है, जिसे सब देवताओं ने देखा। उस पुरी के पास ही सौगंधिक वन भी देवताओं की दृष्टि में आया, जो सब प्रकार के वृक्षों से हरा भरा एवं दिव्य था। उसके भीतर सर्वत्र सुगंध फैलाने वाले सौगंधिक नामक कमल खिले हुए थे। उसके बाहरी भाग में नंदा और अलकनंदा, ये दो अत्यंत पावन दिव्य सरिताएं बहती हैं, जो अत्यंत पावन दिव्य सरिताएं बहती हैं, जो दर्शन मात्र से प्राणियों के पाप हर लेती है। यक्षराज कुबेर की अलकापुरी और सौगंधिक वन को पीछे छोड़कर आगे बढ़ते हुए देवताओं ने थोड़ी ही दूर पर शंकर जी के वटवृक्ष को देखा। उसने चारों ओर अपनी अविचल छाया फैला रखी थी। वह वृक्ष 100 योजन ऊंचा था और उसकी शाखाएं 75 योजन तक फैली हुई थी। उस पर कोई घोंसला नहीं था और ग्रीष्म का ताप तो उससे सदा दूर ही रहता था। बड़ी पुण्यात्मा पुरुषों को ही उसका दर्शन हो सकता है। वो परम रमणीय और अत्यंत पावन है। वो दिव्य वृक्ष भगवान शंभु का योग स्थल है। योगियों के द्वारा सेव्य और परम उत्तम है। मुमुक्षुओं के आश्रयभूत उस महायोग मैं वटवृक्ष के नीचे विष्णु आदि सब देवताओं ने भगवान शंकर को विराजमान देखा। मेरे पुत्र महासिद्ध संकादि जो सदा शिव भक्ति में तत्पर रहने वाले और शांत है, बड़ी प्रसन्नता के साथ उनकी सेवा में बैठे थे। भगवान शिव का श्री विग्रह परम शांत दिखाई देता था। उनके सखा कुबेर जो गुहियों को और राक्षसों के स्वामी हैं, अपने सेवक गणों तथा कुटुंबी जनों के साथ सदा विशेष रूप से उनकी सेवा किया करते हैं। वे परमेश्वर शिव उस समय तपस्वी जनों को परम प्रिय लगने वाला सुंदर रूप धारण किए बैठे थे। भस्म आदि से उनके अंगों की बड़ी शोभा हो रही थी। भगवान शिव अपने वत्सल स्वभाव के कारण सारे संसार के सुहृद हैं। नारद, उस दिन वे एक कुशासन पर बैठे थे और सब संतों के सुनते हुए तुम्हारे प्रश्न करने पर तुम्हें उत्तम ज्ञान का उपदेश दे रहे थे। वे बायां चरण अपनी दाईं जांघ पर और बायां हाथ बाएं घुटने पर रखे, कलाई में रुद्राक्ष की माला डाले सुंदर तर्क मुद्रा से विराजमान थे। इस रूप में भगवान शिव का दर्शन करके उस समय विष्णु आदि सब देवताओं ने दोनों हाथ जोड़ मस्तक झुकाकर तुरंत उनके चरणों में प्रणाम किया। मेरे साथ भगवान विष्णु को आया देख सत्पुरुषों के आश्रयदाता भगवान रुद्र उठकर खड़े हो गए और उन्होंने सिर झुकाकर उन्हें प्रणाम भी किया। फिर विष्णु आदि सब देवताओं ने जब भगवान शिव को प्रणाम कर लिया, तब उन्होंने मुझे नमस्कार किया। ठीक उसी तरह जैसे लोगों को उत्तम गति प्रदान करने वाले भगवान विष्णु प्रजापति कश्यप को प्रणाम करते हैं। तत्पश्चात देवताओं, सिद्धों, गणाधीशों और महर्षियों से नमस्कृत तथा स्वयं भी श्री विष्णु को एवं मुझको नमस्कार करने वाले भगवान शिव से श्री हरि ने आदर पूर्वक वार्तालाप आरंभ किया। ओम नमः शिवाय। थैंक यू। जय गुरुजी। अनंतम शुक्राना।